This video is brought to you by Ageless Geeks.
Cowabunga dudes and dudettes, this is Anthony, aka Batbomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the Loot Crate exclusive Tec-Shield Batman from NECA. Now this is something that we all did not expect, but I am super glad that I was lucky enough to grab this awesome action figure. This is a throwback to one of my favorite Batman figures of all time, and I cannot wait to check it out with you guys. So before we crack this thing open, I want to take a closer look at the packaging. Alright guys, now I want to take a closer look at this retro packaging. This is incredible, man. And this is the stuff that I love that NECA does when they give us these throwbacks to all the toys that we loved. And especially when it comes to their card art and things like that. This is obviously a throwback to the vintage Tec-Shield Batman, which I loved as a kid. One of my, well actually, it is my all-time favorite Kenner Batman ever made. I played to death with that toy, and now getting this updated version by NECA is super cool. We got the awesome image right there of Michael Keaton from the vintage box art. We got the Tec-Shield, the old Batman font right there, which is super cool. We even got the Dark Knight Collection, because that was the name of the line when this came out, the old 89 Batman logo there. And we can see the figure shown in there like so. You can see the NECA symbol designed to look like that old Kenner symbol, but this looks awesome. Oh man, I'm so happy I got my hands on this. We turn it around and we get this. It says Exhibition Dawn of the Superheroes, the DC Comics story, coming out 16th of February, 16th February, 31st, August 18th. I don't know what that is exactly. But it's really cool artwork on the back of this. That's a little disappointing. They used the back of the card for more advertising. I would have liked to seen an old school card back, but that's just me. You know, it's not a big deal. That's great artwork. You know what I mean? I'm all for this. Luckily, it's on the back of the card. I'm glad when I hang this on the shelf or the CD on my wall, this is gonna look freaking incredible. Again, I love that vintage box art, dude. So freaking rad, man. Super happy to have this. Love Tec-Shield Batman. Now let's crack this figure open and see what we have inside. And here is Tec-Shield Batman out of the box. And man, I feel like I'm a kid again. I cannot believe we got this action figure in 2019. This is based on one of my favorite Batman toys of all time, and I am super stoked that I was lucky enough to get him. This is one fun looking action figure, and I cannot wait to check him out with you guys. So with this piece finally in hand, let's take a closer look at Tec-Shield Batman. Alright guys, now let's take a closer look at Tec-Shield Batman. And this is amazing to me, dude. This is just a throwback to that old school Tec-Shield Batman from the 90s. A toy that I absolutely love, and I actually have a vintage Tec-Shield right here. This is actually my Tec-Shield Batman that I grew up with as a kid. This is actually my go-to favorite Batman when I was young. I don't know what it was about this guy, I loved a gold Batman, and this was my favorite Batman toy when I was younger. I'd play with him all the time, take him everywhere. And I just loved it so much. So getting an updated version from NECA is very cool. One thing I will say, the yellow, or the gold, excuse me, is very different in the colors here. This one's more of a deep, brighter yellow. This one's very more toned down. I kind of wish it was a little more like this, but I mean, it's not a big deal. That's very, very nitpicky. Even the belt, you know, the black belt with the gold buckle, I love that so much. So just seeing these guys side by side, get an updated version, is really freaking cool. Now, if you have that previous release Keaton Batman, it's pretty much the exact same thing, again, just with the gold deco to make it look like that vintage toy. But I mean, it's the exact same sculpt, the exact same, pretty much everything except the paint. So this figure looks fantastic in my opinion. I love the sculpt. I love how it feels like an actual head under the cowl instead of just one solid skull. That looks really good. The paint on the emblem of the chest is actually gold too, so that's really good. But the gold and all that looks really, really nice and shiny. Love that a lot. The gauntlets look really good too. Love all that. And again, if you have the previous Keaton Batman, you know what to expect. It's the exact same thing. Some gold bat booty right there. That's really nice. The gauntlets again look good. The belt looks fantastic. The gold is very nice and shiny. And it all came out pretty clean for the most part. I really do like that. The boots look really good. Some texture detailing in there. All look really, really nice. A little bit of tread on the feet right there with some peg holes. All looks really, really good, man. I love this so much. I think it came out great. I would love NECA to just pretty much overall take over the DC license, but it obviously didn't happen. But I would really like those old Kenner toys to get updated versions like this through NECA, because they're so good in nostalgia stuff. And the fact that we might not ever see that stuff again, especially with the DC license going over to McFarlane. You know, NECA does tend to figure ways to get around certain things. But now with going to McFarlane, I don't know how that's going to be. So I don't know if they'll be able to produce other figures like this based on those old Kenner toys. Fingers crossed that can happen. I doubt it, but still really happy to have this in my collection. Okay, now let's check out his accessories. So we get his interchangeable hands here. So we got a gripping hand for things like the battering right here, and a gripping hand on this side for his grapnel gun. We also do get the two close-fisted hands that we get for both sides. But then we also do get his grapnel gun, which is really good. And you can hold that in this hand like so. You just got to get it in there. It's a little tricky because it kind of fits a very certain way because he holds this gun a very certain way. But you can get it on there and it works pretty good. I love the sculpt of that. Again, it's the same accessories that we've seen with the previous Keaton Batman figures from NECA. And I think that looks really, really good with the little silver like screws or rivets, whatever that is. And then the gold hook, I think looks awesome. But then we also do get a batarang, which you can hold in this hand. And again, these hands are meant specifically to hold these things in very certain ways. So you can kind of get it in there. It's a little tricky, but you can do it. And I think it looks really good too. Again, exactly straight from the movie. I love that with the little sculpted lines in there and the silver tips. The only thing I wish it was collapsible like the movie, but that's very nitpicky. But he holds his accessories very, very well. Again, not a whole lot with this figure. That's a little disappointing. I will say this. Now, again, this is me nitpicking. The original one came with this jetpack. This was the accessory for that Tec-Shield Batman. You pull on this right here, and then you have the wings extend, and that was his his main accessory gear like this. I actually love that a lot. Now, I've tried putting this on like around his waist, clipping on with that C-clamp right there. You can probably do it if you really wanted to. It'll stretch out this plastic a lot. I didn't want to do it too much. I tried doing it and I was putting too much pressure on the C-clamp, and I feel like I was going to snap that C-clamp. That's something I don't want to do. But if you take that C-clamp off, you could probably figure out a way to mount this on the back and then have it on the back of this figure like so, if you wanted to do that, because it's so bulky and big, even for that vintage figure, that I think it actually works out good for this guy. So, you know, I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably jimmy some way to get that on there to have like a more authentic Tec-Shield Batman. That's just something I'm gonna try and work out. But yeah, that would have been cool to get an updated backpack like this. I think that would have been so freaking awesome. But still, again, really happy to have this guy. Alright, now let's run down his articulation. So the head's on a ball joint. It does roll around a bit, does turn left and right. Obviously, like that other figure, the original figure, the collar piece is one whole solid piece. So when you move the head, the whole cowl is going to move with it, and that logo is going to go with it. I wish they could have figured out some way to do it, but again, that's accurate to the film. Not much we could do about that. Kind of goes up and down a little bit and pivots side to side a tiny, tiny bit. We can move the cape out the side. Arms can go full 360 like so, up and out about that far. We got a single bend at the elbow, as well as rotation at the elbow, rotation at the wrist, as well as a hinge at the wrist, because all the wrists are on ball pegs, so those work pretty well. We get a ball peg in the mixed section right here, because all this outer stuff right here, this whole muscle section is more like a softer pliable plastic, so that kind of rolls around, does turn left and right, pivot side to side, and crunches back and forth. We got hip joints that kick forward about that far, back about that much, splits about that far, which is pretty nice, rotation in the upper thigh, single bend at the knee, as well as rotation at the knee. Got ankle joints that go up that far, down that much, and a pretty decent ankle rocker. Now, one thing I will say, for me, I know a lot of us, when we get NECA figures, the first thing you want to do is run your figure under hot water, or whatever method you guys like to use to loosen up the joints. He came out pretty smooth right out the box. I always like to test them out a little bit and try not to put too much pressure on them, you know, to avoid breakage. But he came out pretty good. So just, again, be very careful with like a lot of NECA figures. Breakage can happen. But for me, this guy turned out really, really good. So I think he's awesome. And in my opinion, a definite must get. So for a quick size comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends Deadpool and NECA Batman figures. Also for comparison, here he is standing next to the vintage Tec-Shield Batman from Kenner. And for even more Bat comparison, here he is standing next to the other two Keaton Batmans, also from NECA. And just for fun, here he is standing next to little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of the Loot Crate exclusive Tec-Shield Batman. Now overall, I just think this is a really fun piece, and if you're really into that vintage Kenner line, then I think you will absolutely love this action figure. I am a giant Batman fan, and playing with that vintage Tec-Shield Batman as a kid was so much fun for me. He really was my favorite Batman toy. Now, getting this updated version was pretty exciting, and I'm so happy that I'm able to have him in my collection. It's just so much fun, it really makes me want to cry. Now, he's by no means perfect. He does suffer from some of those same faults as the previous version of this figure, and I kinda, be honest, I wish he came with that jetpack, but that's not a super big deal. He's still very cool and very worth the get, and I think you will absolutely love him for your Batman collection. So please comment, like, and subscribe. Stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.